just like in the middle of the pain of mines. I forgot where I was going. I have to open this gate, so wait, that's not what I meant to do. Alright, oh yeah. Wait, Gambit, I think she should have access to fire. Right? I didn't. Yes, she does. Okay, cool. Oh, they're immune? Okay, Gambit. So, let's try this. Oh wait, I have 3 people who are confused. Ooh, that's bad. I only have 5 of these? Ooh, that's not good. No, my health! Yo, she does mad damage. Holy crap. Oh my god, this is bad. This is bad. Alright. That's not useful. Alright, I guess I'm just gonna have him spam balance then. Because at least that does damage. Even though it won't do the best damage. And now Baldir is out of money. I mean, not out of money, out of, what's that word for things that let me cast? Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna have her do that. Oh, I have some of these. Here's my soul. Oh my god, that was scary. Ooh, MP. I didn't know I could get MP renewal from that. Oh, that's awesome. Alright. Because time magic isn't that useful. Well, it's not that it's not useful. It's that I don't know which. Even though I have the book, I didn't read through every single enemy type. Oh, I haven't like been uploading as consistent, like very consistently. It's been like, I don't actually know how much time it's been since I last uploaded Final Fantasy 15. But I have been doing some other stuff. Playing Star Ocean 4, once again, a really good game. I'm about done with the main storyline. I don't really, a lot of the side content is like it's not like, how I say about this. It's not like transparent how to do it. Ooh, how about open this door? But oh, I think I have to. Oh crap! I think I have to go back there to where I was. But I want to do some of the side content because some of the super bosses are supposed to be pretty hard. And then there's also the battle trophies thing, but that's just like the amount of effort to put into that. I don't think it's worth me just enjoying the game. And then this person just dead. Yeah. Let's see what happens if I do this. And like, I'm just not gonna fight. Oh, I don't have to fight. Cool. Been doing that. I've been watching some YouTubers, or I guess YouTubers are a strong word for who I've been watching recently, because I feel like YouTube implies that like their existence and their career is off of YouTube, and I'm talking about what's his face? Not. Wait, let me just look at his name. Eric Weinstein. Yeah. I've been listening to him. Been listening to Tim Pool. But Tim Pool kind of a moron. Like, not in the sense that he is uneducated, but bigoted. And then, which I think people take to mean like. I feel like people take bigoted as like an inherent negative, and all it really means is that you believe in your side, like to an extreme degree, which I definitely think like Tim Pool like does, and like especially just based on his setup, like he just kind of talks to himself and like internet trolls. Like he's basically just an internet troll. He's actually really funny. But he, for some reason, keeps getting recommended, even though I unsubscribed to him like a year ago. And I think it's funny because he's always telling people in his videos that YouTube is demonetizing him and pushing down his videos. But I'm constantly seeing his videos, even though I actively tell the YouTube algorithm on my phone to not recommend his videos. So, I don't think people understand what like. I don't think people on YouTube realize that the YouTube algorithm, like, isn't really based on, like, what you say in the videos. It's based on how many likes you get. Cause, like, they make the claim that they understand this, but then, like, I mean, no one makes a claim they understand it, but like they make the argument that YouTube, like a person in a box, is demonetizing.
Look at the magicite.
Oh,
These mines much resemble the ones at Lusu. Of course, Draculaur must be searching for new sources of ore. Should the resistance forces move, the rich veins of magicite in Bougerbe will be forever beyond their grasp.
Is it her? What is this mist?
The stench of fumes. The stench of power. What's wrong with her?
Stay away! Power-needy Hume!
Yeah, I did not put in some drugs. Oh, alright, this boss is gonna kill me. I have to. Wait, hold up. I remember this boss because this is one of the harder bosses in. I want this. Wait. Okay, I have 2 shield blocks. I know there's a third somewhere on this board, but I'm gonna actually go with this Remedy Lord because that will be more useful in the upcoming fight. Oh, a flame tongue would be useful right about now. This guy has better magic than this, but she has better defense. And a bow. If this guy has a gun, and I'm gonna need the fire shot, so I think I'm gonna go this party. Hello. Ooh, this way. I'm gonna have to level up these three, but for right now, this is the party that I want. Actually, maybe not. Oh yeah, because I need his white magic. I'm gonna need his white magic to keep me out of death. And then I don't know if health would be better for this fight or magic potency. Nothing. Yeah, I don't need any of this stuff. Maybe a gambit slot. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I know it would be better. I'm gonna kill an enemy and give him. I'm gonna kill an enemy and then give him well, actually, I want to be smart about this. I need some more license points. I'm gonna level grind and then we're gonna have a conversation because I need to prepare for that boss. So what I was saying, oh yeah, like a lot of big YouTubers, especially on the conservative side, I've noticed. Well, not conservative side, but people who like talk specifically about politics and not just have a political opinion on their show. They're very, which like they just tend to be very, how should I put this? The independent ones tend to be very right-wing, even if they don't consider themselves right-wing. But they like to complain and say that, like, their channel is being demonetized or targeted for their opinions by, like, YouTube staff. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think that because, like, it's just the YouTube users themselves that do that, because I mean, just in terms of the monetization aspect of it, after that whole fight that Crowder had with Carlos, like, I know people like to blame Carlos on it because Carlos spent a lot of time complaining, but like high key, Steven Crowder like literally sued YouTube like more than once. I remember because he was bragging about it on his show, because he was like, it was like he turned it into a whole bit. He was like, oh yeah, my half Asian lawyer, yada yada. I forgot his name. All I remember is that he kept calling this dude his half Asian lawyer, and that said half Asian lawyer was suing YouTube and that they were being successful. And I'm just like, why has no one put the connection that if you sue a company, they legitimately have less money to pay their employees? Like, that is just a one-for-one. That's just a one-for-one, like, logic transference, right? Like, if I have $100 in my bank account, and I get sued for $50, and I have to pay my employees, I can't pay my employees out of $100. I have to pay them out of $50. Which inherently means, if you get paid based on like percentages or something, which that's how profits are like accounted for by companies, like as in percentages. Like if you only pay your like, let's say you even are the best company and pay them 50% of profits. Well, I don't have $100 dollars of profit anymore. I have $50 profit. So, like, you're just getting paid less. And I feel like everyone gives Crowder a pass because they don't like Carlos Maza. And, like, I'm not going to sit here and say I like Carlos Maza. But I will sit here and say that he didn't sue YouTube and then literally take the money away from, like, people who would be paid by it. And that's why I think they're both wrong and they both should be kicked off the platform. Or, like, solo leagues. Not even, like, legal ones. Like, technically YouTube is not under the authority of the government and they're allowed to kick anyone off their platform for really whatever reason whatsoever. That is the, like, and I'm okay with that because YouTube is not a government. YouTube is a corporation. And if YouTube decides that they need to delete all my videos, it's gonna suck, but I mean, they're not a government, they're a corporation. I don't have to use YouTube, I can go to, like, Dailymotion or something. Actually, there's a cool guy on Dailymotion that I actually really like. I really can't remember his name. I just remember, like, the content he created, and I know that I found him because he did YouTube videos. Like, he would, like, put some of his videos on YouTube because obviously it's a bigger platform, but, like, YouTube would not demonetize him, they just basically, like, copyright him, and so he, like, put the majority of his videos onto Dailymotion. Oh, I really can't remember his name. He did Super Sentai reviews, like, and I'm like a really big Power Rangers fan, so that was something that I really enjoyed. Because he didn't just do Super Sentai though, he did Kotatsu as a whole, which is like the genre that Super Sentai and Power Rangers belong to. So, like, he did Kamen Rider, he did Gai Gao, which is like a horror-esque version of Kamen Rider. He obviously did Super Sentai, but then he also did Power Rangers because, like, they're kind of really different from each other. Especially if you, like, go one for one with the series, which, like, the costumes, I guess, because each series is a different costume. I'm trying to remember his name because I want to, like, endorse him, but I really can't remember his name. When I remember, I will do a proper endorsement. Oh, cool. Okay, so do this one, and then I'll do this. Not entirely sure for this one. These I don't need to learn yet. Oh, yeah, I guess this would be nice. Health would also be nice because she's a melee champion. Bone Crusher. Oh, I have Bone Crusher. I forgot about that. Alright. Nah, I'm gonna get this one. And then for this guy, I guess I really just want poison. I don't really care about, like, the fire and thunder and stuff. But also his health, like, that would be nice. Oh, these are expensive up here though. Swiftness is nice. Oh, there are a lot of tech. Oh, she has I guess she doesn't really need that though, because she doesn't use. Because she uses ranged weaponry. Oh, you know what I need to do? You know what I need to do? I'm just gonna give I'm just gonna give her stats. And then I'll give her shield block. And then I'll give her HP stats. I could learn this right now, but it's really not useful. That's useful. That's useful. That would be useful. I'll get that. I'll save for a lot. Oh, I don't do it. Potion lure. Oh yeah, okay. I'm about to have all 3 potion lures, which is really good. Alright, back to... Alright. What level are these guys at? Alright, I can go back. I'll do this boss, right? Yeah, back to like the YouTubers, like people like, well, I'm just gonna use Tim Pool because he literally said in a video that he doesn't care when people punch up at him, so I'm taking it as an ability to critique him. Like, I don't think he realizes how big he is on YouTube, but then how little people care about politics on YouTube. I think that he thinks that, I think politics has just become part of American culture, as it kind of always has been. It always has been a very like integral part of American culture. And if you look at a lot of our bigger cultural events, they're all really based around politics, like especially if you're a minority, but not really at the same time. Like, in recent years, if you're a minority, you have like the civil rights or whatever, or things like that were very political in nature, right? Like there was protests, there was call for the government to change the way they do things, the FBI got involved. But if you go like further, like before like the 20th century, and you get into like colonial era, there was political arguments made there all the time as well. Like our country is literally a country based like some nations aren't based off of the concept of wait, sorry, I gotta cure this confusion. Oh, I can't even do this fight because I don't have enough of this sand, because that person uses confusion specifically to hurt people. The boss, I mean, not the person. Like, America is very much a country founded and held together by political aspirations. And all of our most famous figures, like, in any capacity you want to imagine it as, are political figures. Like, we don't like, even war heroes, they're either political figures or military figures, and there's a argument to be had that even though they're war heroes are apolitical, they're still associated with politics due to being like for the government, as opposed to like, let's say, and this is something that I got from the Fate series. Let's say like the Amaxa, right? Like the Amaxa isn't a political organization. It's a religious one that basically fought for its right to practice Christianity, and kind of got how should I put this? Like murdered for it. Like they basically, like, in the same way that like Christian communities will like call, let's say, Islam or like witchcraft, like Wiccanism, like a heresy, Japanese culture would call Christianity a heresy. So like, but those people aren't remembered for their religion or their political leanings. They're remembered for like fighting to the death, because a large amount of Japanese culture like revolves around and idealizes like a warrior spirit, and like you could see that in like just their reverence for the samurai, even though the samurai and like samurai culture does have a history of being corrupt and oppressing people. They were still like kind of like how politicians have that history, but they're in America, but they're still sometimes revered. So that was just something interesting I was thinking about, because people like to say like white people, and by extension of white people, when they really say that in America anyway, they really mean like people with American heritage, because not like every white person in America has American heritage. There are a lot of like pale people who are immigrants or like second generation, like Russians, Italians. Like they're Americans in the sense that they're American citizens, but they don't have like a heritage of being American, because there are white people that have just been like, their family have just been living in America for generations. But like you can't say that of an Italian person if you know that their grandma was born in Italy and their dad was born in Italy, but they were born in America. And I think that's something that how should I put this? Non-Americans don't recognize, and so they just see, like, not non-Americans, but in terms of citizenship, but not Americans in terms of heritage. So like I would say the like children of immigrants, like from like second generation, they don't really recognize that like America does have a culture, because they're immigrants, so they grew up with their parents' culture. They didn't grow up in Americans' culture in the household, not like when they left the house. And I think that's something that's interesting, because like I do think that there is a argument to be had that like what Tim Pool refers to as the far left has a hatred for white people. I can understand that argument from the perspective of somebody who isn't on the left, because they're literally saying we hate white people, but I think it's more so a rejection of the toxicity of American culture without really understanding that there are positive things in American culture as well. And also that statement kind of comes out of a hyper focus on Jim Crow era of America, because Jim Crow era was really bad, and like, but like, and like, I know this might sound weird because like I mean, no one would know this, but like, I know it sounds weird because like I am like, in terms of my heritage, American, but like, I personally think that like the Jim Crow law era of America was way more racist than slavery. Like, slavery was more of like just like a national sin, and because it was like, oh, like it's not like Americans, as in the people who started slavery, Americans enslaved people. Like they bought slaves. Like it was more of a transaction, right? Like the original Dutch colony slave trade, right? Like that was more of like, it was like Europeans and like technically Americans. They were buying slaves from Africans. So it was very much like a trade between, how should I put this? It was a trade between nations using human capital, and I'm not trying to say that that makes it okay and that there isn't like a negative side to that, because I do refer to it as like a national sin, but it wasn't like on the basis of race. It was just on the basis of the fact that these Africans had these slaves and they didn't want these slaves and wanted whatever resources that they got traded for. So they were like, oh well, we need some people to build our nation, so I'm gonna give you this random stuff, Africa, and then you're gonna give me basically your prison population, because a lot of slaves were imprisoned from, like, they were like the people who lost the war, basically, or whatever. I don't know a lot about African history, but I know that like the slaves were criminals and people who lost wars, mostly, not like 100%, but like that's how the population is identified within, even if it's not like inherently true. So like, but like Jim Crow era was literally racism. The Jim Crow era was literally like, oh, you have black skin, I don't mess with you, like fuck off, like, and I'm like, and there was no basis of like, okay, well, you're building a nation as a slave. It was literally like, you don't deserve to be in this nation, even though for the most part, most of these black people, like their family had been here for generations, and that while you can make the argument that slavery is immoral, I don't think you can make the argument that slaves were looked at as unnecessary to the prosperity of America, because there was literally a war to keep slaves, like, and a large amount of the animosity that the North felt towards the South was that they were abusing the fact that they had slaves that weren't citizens to gain power over the North, because of the 3/5 compromise. If it was truly about like I would just say the 3/5 compromise reduced the power that the South had in politics by making slaves, which just so happened to disproportionately black people, count less towards their population of citizens. So, like, I'm not making the case that it's a moral, that it's it's a good moral like system, but I'm more so just making the case that slaves were viewed as necessary. Like, they were viewed as a necessary evil. But the Jim Crow era, like, took that and said that slaves aren't even viewed as being necessary towards, like, the prosperity of America. Or, not slaves, but, like, the descendant of slaves, so black people. But they're literally just, like, worthless. Like, we're gonna kill them because they're worth less. They're like, it's worth more to have a dead black person than to have an enslaved black person. And that's why I just think, objectively speaking, the Jim Crow era is way worse if you're trying to talk about racism than like just slavery. And that's why I don't understand this, like, I don't understand the insistence, I guess is the best way to put it. Oh, this is what I need. Yes, oh, awesome. The assistance for literally just buying this with a poison ball. I don't care about the Alright, this is cool stuff. I'm sorry, I want to get distracted real quick. I want to buy, and I can't think and buy, talk and buy at the same time. Oh gosh. Yeah, sure. Oh, this is the tank item that's really useful if I'm willing to just not do damage. But Vaughn has time magic, so his balance will let him do a lot of damage. More than his sword will. Anything else? No. I'm not gonna buy armor. Wait, why do I have so many green berets? That's nice. That's not that useful. Oh wait, actually this is useful for archers and ranged weaponry. This I'm gonna need. I'm just buying these accessories so I know. Just cause I have the money, really. I'm gonna need a lot of these. I'll get these while I'm at it. Yeah, I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna oil out. Yeah, I'm gonna need that. And our jobs are not so useful for it as well. Alright. I think the village of the I forgot what they're called. The Vieira village will have better equipment, so I'm gonna teleport there. Is there not a teleport stone? I guess I can't teleport there. I could have sworn there was a teleport stone. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting because, like, I mean, they're always saying that slavery is bad, but like, slavery being bad isn't a black issue, and isn't even really the basis of why black people have an issue with racism. So I just thought that was interesting. Cause I don't know. I feel like both I kind of get annoyed because like politics has become so just inherently divisive to the point where now like the loudest sides are just both wrong, but you can't be like they both view it as a sin. Which is weird to me, cause like I remember AOC was saying, she was like, oh well, a centrist is basically like someone who stands for nothing and you don't really matter. You're either, at least like if you're a Republican, you stand for something. I'm like, I just don't stand for what you stand for or what the Republican Party stands for. Well, not even really the Republican Party, more just Trump, because the Republican Party isn't acting like the Republican Party in any capacity. It just acts like a party that is Trump's bitch. And that's actually the issue I have with the Republican Party. That it's not that I have an issue with conservatism, it's that they aren't conservatives, because Trump isn't a conservative. Trump is like a liberal in every sense of the word, except for the fact that he created a tax cut. But even that tax cut wasn't like a conservative type tax cut. It's a tax cut that benefited like some people, but then raised taxes on anyone who had a high standing of living, which is basically what Democrats are asking for. And I think that's, I just think it's funny because like I don't want to say the Democrats, because it's not really the Democrats. It's people who are like AOC, who like claim to be socialists. They keep saying that like they're socialists and that they believe like in socialist programs. But Donald Trump like created a socialist program with his tax cut, right? He raised taxes in a way that benefited the formation of businesses and the lowest tax bracket in a way that hurt middle class, not middle class, but like upper middle class, not like working class people, but like upper middle class, like people who have like really nice houses but they still need to work because they have bills. Not like people who just like live in an apartment and like work at Chipotle. Like it hurt those people, but it really benefited like minimum wage workers and people who employ minimum wage workers. And I think it's funny that they keep saying they want socialism, like not like all Democrats, but like the Democrats who are in AOC's camp or who think like AOC, like they claim that they want socialism, but they don't want to pay for a border wall on the other side of the, like, because that would be taken out of their taxes, which would be socialism. They don't want corporate tax, they don't want, not corporate tax cuts, but they don't want corporations to like receive benefits if they're at risk of going under from the government. But that's socialism too, like that, because like so like it's just like weird, like I don't think they know what socialism means, and I think they view socialism as being pro like not corporate welfare, but like social welfare, but socialism like as an ideology, not like as something, a word that people are using, is like it's just an ideology that inherently produces corporate welfare. And I don't think that's something that like anyone on the left notices, and neither, or on the right for that matter, because a lot of people who like are pro-Trump don't realize that Trump is literally a socialist. Like he through use of his government power has like basically become like this person who just gives money to businesses for the sake of like, I guess, doing whatever his agenda is, which is boosting the economy. So he's giving like resources and government wealth, which isn't necessarily just like cash in hand, to a lot of companies to do these things like a socialist would. And even his foreign policy is incredibly left-leaning, but like he bombed the Middle East, right? He doesn't want to have any type of, but his trade deals, the fact that he's so pro trade deals is a left-leaning like ideology. No. Alright. Oh, I can sell these hats. Hold on. I'm sorry, I have to like stop to do things because I can only think so much. I don't need you anymore. I need this one though. That I want to keep. Shell shield. That's a useful. I have two. Her magic power is at 56, just actually ridiculously high. If I equip the red cap on her, her health goes up. Oh, that's a lot of MP loss though, so I don't want to lose that. I guess I'll just I will go back to my conversation. I just need to remember. I just need to focus into doing this stuff. Focus. Actually, that's what I need. Potion more. Alright. Oh, turn. Oh, I didn't touch it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like if you even think about how much cross support Bernie Sanders and Trump has, it kind of just like, you know, it just kind of makes sense that they're just both socialists. equip the poison. No, I need fire. Why? Is he not weak to fire? I feel like. Why am I... Oh, he has reflect on him. That sucks. Oh wait. I knew that would happen. Alright, I could put back in. Actually, I want to put in this chick. Who do I? Oh wait, no! Buff. Oh wait, nope. Nope. This button. Didn't work. It's immune? That sucks. Actually, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to, summon. Alright, buddy. Okay. Oh, I can play with this guy. This is fun. This is something that's new to me. What can he do though? Panfire, and I think this is his super attack. I don't know what is his super attack. I now need X potions disabled though. Too bad. I'm not doing anything that warrants using that. Oh, is he like in his critical mode? Yo, this guy is really useful. I think now I can just use Hellfire and kill him. Oh wait. Oh, I'm sorry. There it is. Oh, it's not that bad. This isn't the boss I thought it was. This is the easier. This dragon, but then it's a grass dragon that I thought was gonna be this boss, but I guess it's the next boss. But I know they're back to back to each other. And that next boss is, oh my god, that next boss is bullshit. 50 pose.
That thing inside her, what was it?
Is it you? When the Hume soldiers came to the wood, the village took small heed of them. So long as the wood herself is safe from harm, the Viera give little care to goings-on beyond her. But in me, an uneasiness stirred. I had to discover why they had come.
So you came here hoping to find something out and got yourself caught. You're as foolhardy as your sister.
They took me then, and set close beside me a stone. They said its mist would be drawn into me, that the Viera well suited this end. I saw the light coming from the stone, and then...
We have seen this. On Leviathan, the mist released from the Dawn Shard drove me too into such a rage. She was taken not by the Dawn Shard.
Manufactured nethicite. Then that means... Penelo, the stone I gave you, do you still carry it with you?
Sure, it's right here.
This is a thing more dangerous again than I had imagined. I should never have given it to you. Forgive me, I didn't know.
I'd always thought of it as sort of a good luck charm. And even if it is dangerous, on Leviathan it kept us safe.
There is a place for all things, even danger such as this.
I hope you're right about that.
I heard the wood's whispers. Take it. Lente's tear is a permission. Pass through the wood and leave. To other places go.
That cannot be all. I saw it when I left the village. Ivalice is changing. How can the Viera stand and do nothing at all?
Ivalice is for the Humes. The wood alone is for us.
But that is wrong. How can we just hide here in the trees when all the world outside is on the move? I too wish to live freely, to leave this wood.
Do not do this. You must remain away from the Humes. Stay with the wood. Live together with the wood. This is your way.
But Fran, my sister...
I am no longer of you. I have discarded wood and village. I won my freedom, yet my past has been cut away forever. No longer can my ears hear the green word. Is solitude you want, Mjern?
Sister.
No, Mjern. Only one sister remains to you now. You must forget my existence.
I am sorry to make you do this.
She goes against the laws of the wood. I threw down these laws. It is better that I do this. Better I than one who must uphold these laws herself. I have a request. Listen to the wood's voice for me. I fear she hates.
The wood longs for you, for the child gone from under her boughs.
A pleasant lie, that.
Be cautious. The wood is jealous of the Humes who have taken you.
I am as them now. Am I not? Goodbye, sister.
Alright. I don't know, man. I think politics is funny. I think people take it too seriously, though. I do dislike the fact that so many people are just like... Well, not so many people. The strongest voices, especially on YouTube, are like either completely anti-Republican or anti-Democrat. And like, I really just don't like that. Because it's not a smart way to be, and it really is a reflection of just how like divided our culture has become over like complete nonsense, honestly. Like, especially when you take into account that like how big our country is, like one of the best things I think, it doesn't cure sleep? That's so stupid. Oh, maybe she doesn't have any remedy, stuff. Okay, I can't even. Like, I think something people don't get is that while America as a whole, like its uniting culture is definitely revolving around politics, the states themselves have very different cultures that are definitely noticeable if you like travel anywhere. And I feel like people are so concerned. I just feel like people are overly concerned with what some of these cities are doing. Like outside of the immigration issue, because an immigration problem definitely affects like all people, like the entire country. It is several years now since such as you began passing through the wood unwelcomed. Some sought only to flee the pursuers, but others there were who thought to bring ruin to the woods. This wakened a Mirjan, a deep disquiet. That she should see this and leave the woods surprises me little. Like, I just think that people really need to remember that we're like that we're not a democracy and that we're a republic, because America literally can't work as a America, the 50 states of America cannot work as a democracy. It literally wouldn't make any sense. It's so big, like it's just too big. Like, democracies only really work under the assumption that everyone has the same culture, and like each state doesn't have the same culture. Like, that's just something that we all know based on like just go if you travel outside of your state at any point in your life. I need I need her to cast I actually really hate this fight. Like, it's not poorly designed or anything. It challenges you to an appropriate degree, but it's really annoying. Oh wait, I'm gonna use no, wait, I think I could do this. I don't think he casts magic damage. Oh, but Shell would decrease his, decrease him getting status ailments. which is about to happen right now. Oh, I'm safe. Alright. Fran is the only one who didn't get targeted. Alright, this is nice. Holy crap. Oh, that didn't work. Wait, he comes back, like, injured? That sucks. Okay, I'm gonna use Remedy. I'm gonna do a big brain strategy right now. I guess this big brain strategy is now done because Fran healed. Come at you, bro. I can use balance. Do like 700 damage. Oh yeah. I actually... Wait, he has Bubble? Oh, word. I didn't know he had Bubble. That's awesome. I don't even own Bubble. Wait. I'm about to pick this big brain strat right now. You gotta put lore on him, though. Did not even know Larsa had Bubble. Bubble is OP. Well, it's OP it's OP for a combo, but I need to use a lot of magic to set up this combo. So I gotta put Decoy and Ron to get him low enough. Alright. And now I gotta take damage. I guess I won't take any damage. Oh, he's just blocking everything. Alright, never mind. It doesn't matter how much damage we're taking off. But he's just not gonna die randomly. That's good. Oh, that's tissues. Oh yes, awesome. He's the only one. Alright, so... because I don't want him to get hit by yes, flare. Hit him with that flare. 2,000 damage. That's good. Oh yeah, cool, awesome, he's dead. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Oh, about another thing about the far left that I think is really funny that I don't think I don't even think that the people on the left realize it is that especially the far left, as in the people who are like these crazy activist types, and like even the crazy feminist types that the ones that people define as like extreme feminists and whatnot in America, because I know that there's a feminist movement in Britain, and I don't want to speak on that because it looks from like the outside to be extremism, like in the very it's not the same, because the feminism in Britain seems to be like trans-exclusionary, like as like a consistency, but that's not really consistency in American feminism. Did everyone ever realize that just in America the cross do they not consider that the cross between the LGBT community and the feminist community is that like there isn't any men, there's just no male population that they're interacting with, because I don't know how to put this in a way that doesn't make it sound like I'm devaluing people's I guess intentions, but like if you look at just like the liberal movement, which is like the greater whole compared to like the far left, like if for example you believe if you consider Eric Weinstein as he considers himself a liberal, then the far left would be a minority in the liberal category. That's how I'm trying to define these terms in this like you ever just consider that like all these young girls just like don't have enough there's just not enough men for them to have like kids with, and that's a large part of why they're so hyper focused on diversity and quote unquote just the color of people's skin, because like let's say you just take in a vacuum that like, you know, the argument that diversity of skin color doesn't matter and only diversity of thought matters and all that jazz, that Eric Weinstein definitely maybe not diversity of skin color, but like diversity of culture, right? Like he makes his argument that diversity of culture and diversity of ideas is more important than diversity of skin color, and I can accept that argument on the basis of a non-competition standpoint, where like I'm not competing for a sexual partner, or if I like as a woman, not like I'm not a woman, but I'm just saying like from the woman's perspective, because from the male's perspective, right? You, especially if you don't like believe in monogamy, which is kind of more consistent on the liberal side than it is on the conservative side. You're from a perspective of biological evolution, right? The man is capable of having multiple female partners to produce offspring if his priority is not to produce well-off offspring and just to produce offspring in an end of itself, right? So like if you just want a baby but you don't really care how that baby is raised, then it benefits the man to have the most amount of kids. And it also benefits women to have how should I put this, like kids with the same man, like for a group of women to all have kids with the same man, because if that guy is able to impregnate one person, then the odds of them being able to impregnate other people is higher. And then we also like live in a society that is incredibly close to Jim Crow, right? So like a lot of white people with American heritage, like they're like, let's say you're 30, right, or 40, and your dad's like 60, then like your dad and your grandparents grew up in like the height of, like they were alive in the height of Jim Crow, where like you literally could not be in an interracial relationship, right? Like if you were with somebody who had different skin color with you and during Jim Crow, you both were killed. It wasn't like yes, like black people were targeted, but it wasn't like black people were the only ones affected by Jim Crow era racism. It was white people. There are articles. I mean, I was watching a documentary and I can't remember what it was. It wasn't even particularly about like racism or Jim Crow, but about like women's mental health, like the history of women's mental health and how they treat women. And in the documentary, the person was saying how like during like Jim Crow era, like women were considered insane, like they were literally like sent to psychiatric hospitals and like legally considered insane for wanting to date or having known to be dating black men. So like it's a social stigma that even though like Americans or America will make the claim doesn't matter if you have actual American heritage and you're not like the son of an immigrant, like it mattered to your parents, right? Like if you're let's say, for example, you take like, I'ma just use, like let's say your parents are from Sweden, but they're like 60, 70, and they moved here before you were born. So you were born in America. Your parents would not have that experience, right? Your parents would have grown up in like a mostly white area and like wouldn't have had or even understood the context behind Jim Crow, because they probably would have ended up settling, or at least initially migrating to a major port, right? Like they would probably end up migrating to like California or Florida or New York, and then they moved out from there. They didn't, so like, and like this is like mainland America, like the Midwest and the South, where like these Jim Crow laws were like that bad, like, but it has ramifications to like any New Yorker whose parents are from the South, you know what I mean? So like, or like any New Yorker whose parents are from the South. Like I have family from the South, but I don't live in the South. Or like, and like I'm sure there's a lot of Californians who have parents from like Virginia, but they live in California. So I think that's something. So like the ability to even express that you want, like that you prefer a darker skin color, for a woman anyway, is not a freedom that is like even consistent throughout the past like 80 years of American history, because like you couldn't even have that mentality. Like, when did Jim Crow era last? I'm trying to remember the exact dates. I'm gonna Google it real quick because I know it happened after World War II, but. Yeah, so like it was enforced until the 1965, right? So that's when it ended. So that means that, and then obviously like, so like that's something that's like very recent. That's 1965. Like that's not a long time ago compared to 2020. That's like a 20, 20, 40. Wait, I want to do the exact math in my head. Like it's 1965, 35 plus 20, so 55 years ago. So if you know anyone who's above the age of 55, they lived literally in a time period where it was illegal for like interracial, like it might not have been illegal to be in an interracial relationship, but it definitely was socially unacceptable, and there were laws that you could be prosecuted under because like the spirit of the law is that black people and white people aren't supposed to be mixing. That's the spirit of Jim Crow. And I don't think that's something that the children of immigrants and immigrants truly appreciate. And I think all they see is, oh, you think that people with pale skin are bad, and it's like it's not that. It's that there was literally a race war in the land, and families who have ties to America that are longer than 1 or 2 generations, like that's in their family, right? When they go to family dinner, if you're talking to like a 70, 80-year-old, when you're going to family dinner, they literally remember a time where like, oh, you did like let's say your family's white for instance, and you're dating a black guy, there'll be somebody in your family that literally remembers the time where people were like considered legally insane for doing that, and like, and I think that's not a conversation that anyone wants to talk about. And like, to say that because now it's socially acceptable because like, you know, the youngest of our to say that's socially acceptable now because the youngest of Americans with American heritage are okay with it, completely just assumes that everyone hates their family and no one has any interactions with people who have lived in America for their whole lives and are over the age of like 80 or even around the age of 80. And that's like I think that's something that, and I think that there are a lot of like pale skinned people, or just like especially Europeans, that like come to America and don't know America's history, but then we'll see the problems of America.
Empires parade down city streets while refugees walk barefoot through the snow.
And so I sue for peace, to stop short war and ease their suffering. My father will choose peace.
Will he now? You sound sure of yourself. You can never know another, even your father.
Don't take it the wrong way, Kay?
This crisis would not end were I gone. The Senate hates the very fact that House Solidor exists. By necessity, we must find reason to silence them.
Necessity? Ah, yes. Necessity. Does that word free you, I wonder? You show no hesitation to solve matters with blood.
The sword of House Solidor cannot be left to rust in doubt. It was you, Excellency, who tempered that sword.
Is this your idea of vengeance?
It is my idea of necessity. If we do not act now, it is not only our future you imperil.
So, you would dirty your hands to keep his clean?
My hands are stained with blood. I see little reason to stay them now.
So they are. And so House Solidor lives on.
Also, I think something that, yeah, I just think it's very interesting. This whole, like, Black Lives Matter thing. Because, like, well, not Black Lives Matter thing, but the entire, like, just far left movement is very interesting. Because everyone just, not, actually, I would say that there is more opposition towards the far left from, like, if you look at, like, the totality of America, than there is towards conservatism or even Trumpism, because there's like an inherent level of ignorance that a large amount of people who have American citizenship and also live in America have towards American history. And there's not even like a concerted effort on anyone's part to even like care about it. Like, it's just like, oh, and it's actually kind of funny because, like, in a lot, like, I heard this is a lot of this. I'm just thinking about this conversations I've been listening to on Eric but off of Eric Weinstein's podcast, and in one of his conversations with let me see what his name was. David Wolpe, a rabbi, he was making the claim that the far left, like, basically looks only at the most negative parts of American history and like focuses on that. And I think that you can make the argument. I understand where he gets that perspective from, especially as a person that so closely identifies with Jewish faith, which isn't like, it isn't really American in the like the long run of American history. Like Judaism is something that is definitely that has been introduced as mainstream, well, not mainstream, but it has been introduced to America with the due to basically World War II and like the refugee status that America gave to survivors of the Holocaust. But there's not a history culturally or politically of Judaism in America to the extent that compared to the concept of Christianity, right? So like he's looking at American culture from the outside in, right? Because I think it's fair of me to say that in a in a society where like I think 52% of people consider themselves Christian, you can't make the claim that Judaism is the mainstream religion or view to see the world, the lens of which Americans view the history of America, right? So he has a different perspective, which I do appreciate, but I don't think he appreciates how different it is from like, I don't think he appreciates how different it is to look at America through the lens of Judaism, especially because Judaism seems to be a more, as he puts it, what is the word he used? Skeptical, but Christianity isn't like a skeptical religion. It's not a skeptical religion in the sense that it doesn't question truths. It questions the ability for individuals to act on those truths. So like, I don't know much about Judaism as it compares to Christianity as a religion, but he made the claim that it's skeptical in nature, and I see a lot of Jewish culture revolve around skepticism, or at least like Jewish like thought culture. So like I'm talking about like the Eric Weinstein of the world, but Christianity isn't that. Like Christianity is more of, it has a very strict sense of right and wrong, and you can see that reflected in the concept of like heaven and hell, God and Satan, the cardinal sins. Like it's a very it's a very consistent concept to have a very galvanized understanding of what something being done is. But I think the grace or the nature of grace that comes from Christianity, as a person who like has studied Christianity, is that it almost doesn't matter if you're right or wrong in terms of personal responsibility, because you can always you can always be wrong, but you can always be right. So it's your personal responsibility to be right, whereas, and this is just like, I'm just extracting this from what Weinstein says anecdotally about Judaism, and I have no like true depth of understanding on it, but it seems like in Judaism it's more about like figuring out what is right and then trying to do that. But in Christianity it's like, no, this is right, and even if it benefits you to be wrong in the short term, it does not in the long term. And I think that's something that is interesting. But because of and this is where I'm going to explain why I think he used, how I relate him viewing the world through that lens, and him reviewing America through the lens of like its accomplishments and wonders. So because he comes from a faith that like chooses to believe in a sense of wonder, he views the accomplishments of America as like, wow, like you really messed up in this one particular case, but like, you know, you made a nuclear bomb, man. Like, yeah, you killed people with that, but like, who would have thought that a nuclear bomb could be created? and that's like the sense of wonder that comes from American accomplishments. But like the Christianity view, which I'm arguing is a more, in terms of a heritage and culture, more consistently American, because there is like a heritage in America that as a country and not America as a land, right? From that perspective and from the Christianity perspective, it's not that, it isn't that you're impressed that a nuclear bomb was created because like from the perspective of Christianity, most things are like to a certain extent magical. It's that a person used a bomb to kill people, and that act is inherent. The act of, not the act, but the function of the bomb being created to kill people is the inherent problem and the wrong in the situation. And the ability to create the bomb is not considered, because you create the bomb with the intention, like the bomb was created with the intention to kill, right? If you believe that humans can only create tools out of intention, which is kind of what Christianity is prescribed to, then whatever you create is a reflection of the intentions that you have, even if it's an accident. So like, you couldn't have made a bomb unless you were trying to make something that was destructive, and that's inherently wrong. And that's like, and I think that's where a lot of this leftism comes from. It comes from a truly, I think it comes from a truly American idea, way more than the Republican Party is coming from. And I think the Republican Party is more so just trying to like appease. I honestly think that it's the Republican Party that is trying to appease everyone in both action and words, as opposed to the Democratic Party or the leftists. Because like, if you look at Republicans, right, all they say is, oh, they want to fix the economy, they want better health care, and they want and they don't believe in free stuff. But like, that is literally the most common denominator response to any of the problems happening in America, right? Like you'll there's like really no point in the history of ever that people are like, yeah, we don't want healthcare, or we don't want we don't want like a working economy, we don't want to work. Like, I don't think people are under the impression that, I don't even think that Republicans are under the impression that people who believe in, like, let's say something like a basic income, believe that people literally do not want to work. I think that's just the talking point they use to justify their response, because they don't have an answer to those questions. And the far left have created an answer to those questions. And I think the fear of the Republican Party, especially considering their like disproportionately Christian base, is that they don't know if these answers are right or wrong, because there isn't like, so instead of they don't know if these answers are right or wrong, but instead of asking that question, they just assume that they are right, because they know that if they try to fix the economy, that is something that is right for everybody. But they don't care about the process, they just care about the end result. And like, I think Trump's State of the Union really exemplifies that, right? Like, and I think for as much as you want to I mean, as whether you're on the Republican side or the Democratic side, I think you can admit that his presentation of the State of the Union was very like what's the word, reality TV show, even, but that's like who he is as a person. But to break down what happens at the State of the Union, right? Impeachment sucked, right? Impeachment sucked because everyone was fighting over a decision, and ultimately the decision favored Trump. And I personally think that it was something that needed to happen. I wasn't necessarily in the camp. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if I was in the camp of him needing to be like removed from office, but like even Republicans have made the statement that even though they voted to acquit him, they do feel that his action has been incorrect. So, and impeachment is not inherently removal. Impeachment is just like the process by which a removal could happen. Basically, it's like getting written up at a job, like, oh, you're messing up, so we're gonna review your your job status. That's basically what an impeachment is. And he wasn't removed, but to say that the impeachment was wrong is an easy thing to say, because it was an annoying process that produced a lot of negative results, right? So he's just saying, he's not addressing the impeachment, he's just making the statement that it was wrong because it was annoying. But yeah, it's annoying. Like, any process of review is usually annoying. And then he made the claim that the economy is good, but even if the economy was bad, like, well, he made the claim that he's trying to fix the economy and the economy is good. And even if the economy was bad, he can make that same claim, because who wants to live in a world where the economy is bad? Like, and any person who is like making money would claim that the economy is good, even if there is like a disproportionate amount of poverty in that economy. And I think that, and then in terms of like being for black people, which is something that he continually tries to claim, like, who would want to not be for black people? It doesn't matter if your actions hurt black people, or even more benign than that, do not help black people. Who would want to be on the side of not liking black people? So it doesn't really matter if he's helping them or not, because the right thing to do is to not hate them. And I think that's something that Republicans don't even care to like consider, that like he could just be like, not even that he could just be lying, because we know that he's lying, and not even that his I don't think they consider that like their actions are not good for black people. And I'm not even trying to make the argument that they are or they aren't, because like there are groups making both arguments. I'm just making the argument that like, what, even if you think that somebody's actions are bad for the black community, right? Why would you as an individual say that you're not for the black community? Because racism is wrong, and the Bible definitely claims that racism is wrong. But just because you think racism is wrong doesn't mean that your actions benefit black people, even if you want them to. And I think that's something that like, Christianity struggles with, especially because the Bible isn't typically taught in its totality, and it's mostly taught in like it's mostly taught in the stories of individuals, because a lot of the Bible is segmented in arcs of like, you know, different characters doing different things. But so like, I think the perfect example would be I'm really bad with names, like in both fiction and non-fiction, so like forgive me for not remembering the apostle's name, but there is a believer in God who is asked by God to sacrifice his son at the highest mountain. This is a story. I remember the story really well. I just don't remember the character's name because I'm not really good with names. In the story, the character is asked by God to sacrifice his son at the highest tower, and he spends the entire time walking up that mountain, like questioning if it's the right thing to do, because he has the understanding that it is wrong to kill your child, right? Like, it's thou shalt not kill, and then it's also your child. So it's like, why would you kill your child? Why would I kill my child? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But then by the time he gets to the top of the mountain, God's like, yeah, don't kill your child. That's not a good idea. I just wanted to see if you would do it. And I think this is something that is that mentality is something you can see in the Republican Party, especially in regards to how they interact with Trump, where like it's not that it's not that they view Trump's actions as okay, and they are constantly questioning Trump, like, if not publicly, behind closed doors. It is that it's that, like, how should I put this, like, it's basically that because he's winning, they view, because he, like, Trump himself is winning in the political system, and because Trump can make the claim that the economy is good because the people in his party, he has like positioned the economy to benefit the people in his party. He can make the claim that that, like, you know, he is right because he won, and technically he won under the rules of the Electoral College in a fair way without being proven a cheater. Right? The economy is at the economy's GDP at under as of like 2019, like the 2019 report was like 2.1, but because so many people are still remembering the Great Recession, that is viewed as a net positive compared to the Great Recession. So, and then, you know, jobs, even though a large amount of the jobs that he's created are low minimum wage, low class, like almost poverty level jobs, the jobs, like, you can definitively say that there are more jobs. So like, you know, so like, so you can make the claim that the economy is good, so that's right. And then also like, look at what happens when you don't follow Trump, right? Like, you lose out. Like, he fires you, he's mean to you, which, like, isn't nice and can definitely be viewed as a wrong. So I think so many people follow Trump because it's easier to view him as right, especially within the context of Christian ideology, where like there is such a thing as right or wrong, than to question what he's doing. And it's easier to forgive him for hurting other people than it is to like actually help people. And I think this is something that, like, you can find in the Bible stories of, you can find in the Bible stories of, like, individuals helping people at personal cost. Like, the story of Moses is a story of Christianity, but it isn't, it isn't spoken about or even idealized in the same way as the story of Christ, which is, like, literally about a guy who, like, like, he just, like, basically his entire life has been him neglecting himself for the sake of others, to the point where, like, you're almost teaching martyrdom, where it's like Christ's life is only important in so much as he has helped the world, not really his. And I think that's like a self-sacrificing mentality that isn't always wrong, but isn't always right. Kurga, nice. Got some better magic. I wish it was a button that I could press to just like auto sell everything I have, and then teleport stones not be considered like loot, but there's not. Ooh, new goods. Okay, let's see. Iron Forge pole. Stained with dry blood. Scarf. Oh, this seems cool. Ooh. Oh, I can actually give her a good accessory. I think. What is that equip? Penelo? Wait, I'm gonna give Penelo something else. Oh, I will give her nothing. Oh, this is stronger. Wait, I'm gonna go back. I don't know. I thought that was very interesting. I just found, I guess that Eric Weinstein would be happy to know that his podcast has made me look at things in a different way, but I don't know if he necessarily agreed with everything I am saying. I think that as much as I think that American society, not American society, but like just Americans, and particularly like the Democrats need to not the Democrats, but more so the Republicans, because the Democrats are like very they're very set in their ways, which I guess is a problem, but I think both the Democrats and the Republican Party has got kind of like lost. How should I put this? They've lost what it not what it means to be American, but it seems like they kind of. I feel like Eric Weinstein's perception that they both are just like lost is a very astute perception, because the Democratic Party has basically forgotten, like, I feel like in an effort to be not diverse, but to be accepting of immigrants and of like really just immigrants, not like really anyone else, but like immigrants, they have lost like their they've lost what it means to be American. Wait, what? And I feel like in Republicans, they have oversimplified what it means to be American. And like now it's like if you're not a like they don't even believe in the military like really anymore, right? Like a lot of, especially like newer Republicans are like, oh, the military, like they're it's not that they're anti-military, but they have no respect in what it means to be a military officer. And they almost have like a disrespect in what it means to be a military officer. But then like the Democrats kind of like have a disrespect in American like literally the history of Americans as it pertains to literally like the history of America. They only focus on like very small parts of America, really post World War II. Like if you talk to Democrats, they don't really talk about any part of American history that isn't after World War II. And it's kind of annoying. Like they don't talk about the Quakers. They don't talk about how the Quakers were like one of the first, like, okay, perfect example. For an ideology that actually, you know what I'm gonna do here? for an ideology that claims to be for women's rights, they don't talk about anything that women have accomplished unless it happened either during the... They don't even actually talk about the initial suffragette movement. They only talk about women's accomplishments as in regards to things that have happened after World War II. Like, and then, I don't want to say one of, because like I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm like this huge expert on American and history, because I'm only like 25, but like the Quaker movement was a movement that was started by women, and I don't know a lot about it, but there was a very heavy emphasis placed on women's ability to lead the next generation, which is something that I think is lost to like all Americans, right? Because like on the Republican side, they don't value education. Like they don't really, like, you could just tell in their actions that they do not value education, and that a large amount of what they're doing is, I can't kill these guys. A large amount of their actions, especially under Trump, have been to the detriment of our education system. And like I feel like just looking at Betsy DeVos, like, even if you want to make the argument that she's good, she hasn't actually improved, and she hasn't dealt with the crisis that is our skill debt. She hasn't actually rearranged the way our school system works, because we do know that in terms of outcomes it's failing, because a large amount of college educated people are just like literally homeless or do not have jobs in their field. And we also know that China is literally just coming to China, like, and this is not, I mean, unless Mike Pompeo is just completely lying. According to Mike Pompeo, our general, I forgot his title, but Attorney General, right? He's made the claim and had a press conference that China is coming to America, to our school systems, as early as our like elementary schools or whatever, and they're just they're literally just paying people to become Americans, to become Chinese spies, or like literally stealing our talent and having them move to like China. So like that doesn't benefit, like, under the guise of being a one world government, I guess, or like believing that all humans are created equal. Yes, there is a strong argument to be had that is good, but in terms of like building any form of society, or leaving wealth to the next generation, America is not leaving wealth to the next generation. Like, there's just no argument to be had. Even the economy, like, I forgot. It just seems like a large amount of the reason why we're getting so many jobs is that a lot, like, older people are going back to work. So it's not like our jobs number is the reflection of young people finding work. It's a reflection of old people finding work, or not old, but like older, like above the age of 30, or I'll say 35. So I think that's something that the Republicans have failed to address, and I feel like they assume that they're addressing it because they're anti-Bernie, and they make the claim that Bernie's plan doesn't work. And I definitely think that Bernie's plan to just get rid of all school debt would not solve any of the education problems. But at the same time, they haven't offered any solutions. And Betsy DeVos has literally, like, her most consistent and most talked about idea And something that Trump says is we're giving people school choice, and I'm like, that people already had school choice, and the issue isn't one of which school you're going to, because the majority of schools are understaffed or underpaid or doesn't have the resources. And even with college, it doesn't matter which college you go to. The problem is that the majority of colleges give you degrees, and then those degrees do not result in you getting a job in a degree that you've gotten it in, right? And this is something that like gets me upset when people then especially older people are like, oh, well, you just have a gender studies degree, you don't know anything, or you just have a liberal arts degree, you don't know anything. It's like our colleges, a large amount of our colleges, especially like the state-funded ones, are known as liberal arts colleges. It was the older people, either through like literally teaching these kids, or how should I put this? Like figuratively letting these kids go to these schools that taught the younger generation what gender studies is. Like, you don't, like, gender studies isn't an ideology that just popped out of thin air. It's an ideology that was taught to young people, and now you're making fun of young people for knowing the things that you taught them, and you're not, and then you're also like not paying them because you think it's worth, and then you're calling them worthless or lazy, and like it's like because they're not benefiting to the older people's economy. And I'm like, well, if your end result was just to increase the economy to the benefit of older people, you should have taught them things that would allow them to participate in the economy, but you didn't. And your college and the colleges were not set up that way. So like, what are you arguing about? But at the same time, so like, I don't know, I just find it very interesting. And I don't really like Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders as a figure of the far right represents everything I have an issue with the Republicans as a totalitarian, which is that they don't, like, he doesn't have an answer to any of these problems, right? Like, he's just saying that he has an answer. Like, he's just giving the easiest answer because he knows that's what people want. Like, okay, we have an issue with healthcare, and even under the assumption that healthcare was free for every single person, right? Like, or everyone have healthcare. Healthcare isn't created equal, right? Like, everyone can have healthcare and it can still be crap healthcare. If everyone has, like, it doesn't actually solve the issue that people are dying. It just, you're just saying, oh, people should not die, basically. Like, for example, a component of healthcare and a component of healthcare, which I know because my family works in healthcare, is dealing with wait, I'm gonna do this game real quick. A component of healthcare is dealing with mental health, right? And we definitely have a mental health crisis. But Bernie doesn't address those things, nor does he address how he would handle those things. All he says is that we need free healthcare. But like, I've been hospitalized for under what's the word for it? I've been hospitalized under for mental health reasons, and like you can't, like, okay, like let's even make the assumption that like that I didn't have to pay for it, right? Like, it's an epidemic, right? Like, we have a large amount of people who have that problem. And as of right now, most hospitals do not have the resources to handle that. So how does, even if it helps like an individual go to the hospital, how does that help an understaffed hospital deal with the influx of patients? And if you look at I mean, not if you look at, but like if he actually cared about the healthcare issue, or if he actually talked to doctors, he would know that like the majority of hospitals, either through policy or just through like the actions of individuals, will just treat people who do not have health insurance like that. Like, oh, like if you go to like let's say you just like live in a big city or whatever, right? Like a large amount of hospitals, if you come in without health insurance, they'll just treat you anyway. And I know this for a fact because when I was in, I mean, I don't live in a large city, but I went to a large city hospital, like a city hospital, to get some stitches because like I had an accident, and like I got like, you know, I had an accident basically, so I needed stitches. It wasn't like life-threatening, but it was a bad cut, so I really needed stitches. And while I was waiting in the hospital, I have insurance, but like I didn't really know what my insurance was. So like they were like, there is a database, so like they can just like Google your name and then find out your insurance. Well, it's not like Google, but like, you know, just look through the database. I was waiting to be seen, and like there were people who were like also waiting to be seen that didn't have health insurance, and I know they didn't have health insurance because they were literally having that conversation right in front of me, like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't have health insurance, but he got hurt at work. Well, he's making the claim that he got hurt at work, so we're gonna help him, but like we don't know how we're gonna pay for it right now, so X, Y, and Z. That hurts the hospitals. Like, that is probably a reason for like, how should I put this, the high insurance costs, right? Because if you know that one person isn't paying for insurance, then that cost is going to be like put on by the people who do have insurance. And I think this is where the argument that immigrants, not immigrants, but immigrants who enter the borders illegally do not push costs or take advantage of the system that immigrants and Americans who are here legally have, falls apart. Like, it falls apart if you just look at the hospital system, because like we know through that, we know, and it's been like pretty consistently recorded that, not recorded but reported that sorry, that like insurance companies are paying way too much for healthcare, and you know, the average person who holds insurance can't really afford their healthcare through their insurance companies. But we also know, I mean, we don't also know because it's not as heavily reported, but there are reports that hospitals, and there are policies that hospitals abide by that allow for, let's say, a person without insurance, which like would probably just be 9 times out of 10 either a homeless person or an illegal immigrant. Like, those people can get access to healthcare, and healthcare does cost resources, right? Like, it's not like I'm just rubbing my hands together and performing and like, you know, I'm not rubbing my hands together and now you're healed. It's like, I gotta give you like medicine. You can't reuse bandages if it's a bandage, stuff. if a doctor is taking care of you, they're not taking care of somebody else, and then that is a strain on the system. So like I don't know, like I would say from my experience that hospitals themselves need to be funded as opposed to insurance companies, and that a good way to mitigate this is to give federal funding to city hospitals based on population density of like the area they're in. So like I guess like the best way to explain it would be like, if you know that a hospital is in a town of 50,000 people, federal funded, like especially if it's a let's say it's like, I don't know the exact population of New York City, but I'm using the term 50,000 people just to be relative. But let's say there's like a hospital in New York City that has a population range of like 50,000 people, but then there's also a hospital in like, let's say Roscoe, New York, because I know where, and that has like only 10,000 people, then the hospital itself should be funded by either like government taxes or federal taxes or whatever. It should be funded like the New York City hospital should be funded more money than the Roscoe City Hospital, because unless you have like not even a pre-existing condition, but like unless you have like a rare disease, like hospitals are adept at handling a lot of different types of stuff. And then also, in the event that you do have a rare disease, that is where insurance companies would pick up the slack, because now the insurance company is dealing with the hospital directly to provide funding for said patient on the basis of whatever healthcare they need, which is how insurance works now. And I think that's kind of what I don't know if that's what the public option is, but I do know that would be better than a public option, because as it stands now, in practicality, there's already a public option. You can literally just go, like, if you have a ER related situation, you can kind of just walk into a hospital and be seen. It's not that it's not that difficult, and no one will question you. I need to start getting more gambits. And then education we talked about, but then okay, and then also, right, outside of education and like everything that comes out of Bernie Sanders' mouth is just, we don't like Donald Trump. And I'm like, as much as I don't like Donald Trump, or I do like Donald Trump, like, it's the same issue that Donald Trump has with the Democrats, right? Like, it's not that he says anything that is particularly useful. Like, saying the economy is good isn't a useful thing. It's okay, like, even if the economy is good, we both know, I mean, not we both know, but most people understand that, like, there are winners and losers in the economy. So in the event that the economy is good, we don't know how, like, it doesn't state how bad things are for other people. So, like, cause the economy only, like, the metrics by which we measure the economy, for example, like unemployment, is only a measurement of people who are in the economy. It does not measure people who are not in the economy. And the best way to explain this is that, I mean, not the best way to explain it, but I can explain it by explaining the metric. So unemployment measures people who are actively seeking work that is all that it measures. That is the base total. That so like if you it doesn't measure if you, it doesn't even take into account if you already have a job though. It only takes into account how many people are looking for a job, and then how many people then get those jobs in a certain amount, a certain time period, right? So, so let's take for instance, like, let's say you have a family, right? Let's not even a family. Let's just say you have a guy. Let's say you have this one dude, and he isn't looking for work. He's just like, yeah, like for whatever reason, whether he for whatever reason, he's just not looking for work, right? Like maybe he works. Let's say he's off the grid. Let's even say he's off the grid and he has like a farm and stuff like that. Let's say he's off the grid, he has a farm, he has his own house, but he doesn't have to pay like property taxes or whatever. Or even if he does pay property taxes, he's not working. Cause let's say he just has a farm and he hasn't registered that farm with like a small farm, not like an official business. Like he has like a farm that allows him to eat. Then he would be considered unemployed because he's not working for anybody. He's technically wouldn't be required to, he's just not working for anybody. And even if he sells his food, like to, let's say, like a friend or two for like, or like barters his food, which is like not like a crazy idea, like it just doesn't come up in the economy, nor does it come up in the metric of unemployment. But let's also take that, let's take like another person, like still just some random guy, and say that he has a job, that job does not pay him enough to like pay for rent, and so he is now looking for another job. That person in the system would be considered unemployed because he was looking for a job. And it doesn't, and the way that the metric like is, I don't know if it's the way the metric is read is that unemployment is the number of people who are looking for jobs who then get jobs in a certain time period, which means that if you didn't look for a job within a certain time period, you couldn't be counted. It also doesn't take into account that like entire towns will just not have enough jobs for like the population to survive. It doesn't take into account that there are multiple homeless populations of people just literally living in poverty. So even making the argument that, the economy is good and that job growth is high doesn't actually it's not proof that people aren't living in poverty. It's just proof that people are working. And I mean, if you describe even just like homelessness, like there are a lot of homeless people who have jobs. Would you consider them, even if you consider them a part of the economy and you make the claim that the economy is good because those people are working, can you make the claim that poverty is down just because the economy is up? Because I mean, my mom works in a hospital and she'll tell me stories about how like there are like more than one nurse in her hospital that like goes to work, is a nurse, makes sure people don't die, so that healthcare system that Bernie Sanders wants to be free, and is homeless, which according to like the jobs growth rate, I think retail and it's retail and like healthcare, which are the highest. They were the highest. What's the word for it? The highest growth rate. They have the highest growth rate. So like, okay, let's take for like let's just take into consideration that they do have the highest growth rate of retail and what's the word for it? Healthcare. Like, in healthcare, there are homeless nurses. So even if there are more people working there, it's not necessarily an indication that those jobs are good or that they're paying and a level of a wage that allows people to live in dignity. And that's something that like kind of bothers me when people try to hype up the fact that the economy is good. It's like okay, the economy is good, but what about the are people living in less poverty? Because if they're not, then it doesn't mean anything that the economy is good. It's except for the people who are directly invested in the stock market. Are people dying less? Because they're not. Because a lot of people are like killing themselves. So is that so? Like I don't get the I just don't get using the economy as a metric for the health of the country, especially when you consider how tied to other countries our economy is. It's not like we have an isolated economy that is not affected by like other countries like China or even like Russia to a certain degree, because if they attack Europe, then a large amount of our trading partners are screwed, and we know that they're aggressive because they just invaded Ukraine like in 2014. So it's like under the same person who's in power. So like I don't get it. I think that's something. I think there's like a deliberate effort on Republicans to not address that there are people who are working even in this new economy with all these jobs that are still living in poverty or literally homeless. And like look at, and then also like on a I don't know, I feel like none of these people have played Civilization. Like, yo, you need like, how do you get a golden age in Civilization, the video game? You gotta have your happiness be high. How do you need to get your happiness high? You need to have enough food for people. You need to have enough gold in your bank in case bad things happen. You need to be able to not be invaded. Like, I feel like some of these politicians need to just sit down and play like 100 hours of Civilization and then come back to us. I'm not even being sarcastic either. I mean, like, I feel like they literally should be like legally demanded to play Civilization.
Is he sleeping?
No, my child.
Whoa.
I do not sleep. I dream. For reality and illusion are a duality. Two parts of a whole. Only the mirror of dreams reflects what is true.
Anastasis, Your Grace. I am
Lay
Ashelia.
down your words. Ashelia, daughter of Ramanas, I have dreamt your dream. Who better to carry on the Dalmascan line than she who bears the Dawn Shard? Your dream of a kingdom restored is known to me.
Grand Kiltias, then give us your blessing. Grant the Lady Ashe her accession to the...
I do not suppose this is something you might reconsider. My little Emperor-in-waiting. You called and I have come.
This is the man I wanted you to meet. Believe it or not, he is a member of the noble house Margrace, rulers of the Rosarian Empire.
I am but one of very, very many. Try as I might, I could not stop this war alone. Thus, I came seeking Larsa's assistance. Alcide Margrace, at your service. To think I stand before the Lady Ashe, it is truly an honor. I see it is true after all. Stunning is Dalmasca's desert bloom.
In Arcadia, Larsa. In Rosaria, Alcide. They dream not of war. Should Empire join with Empire, the way will open for a new Ivalice in our time.
Gran Kiltias, you speak much of dreams, but in the real world, war is upon us.
Gran Kiltias, I was told my coming here would prevent this war. I was to assume my father's throne and announce the restoration of Dalmasca, treat with the Empire for peace, and persuade the Resistance to stay their hand. I have not come all this way to be asked to reconsider.
A word from you and the Resistance would stop cold, and Rosaria's pretext for joining the war scattered off to the four winds. This was what we had hoped. Alas, circumstances change. A full 2 years have passed since your reported death. Were it to become known you are still alive, I fear it could only worsen our current situation.
Because I am powerless to help.
Nay, in fact it has little to do with you.
Then what? If Lady Ashe were to extend her hand in friendship, perhaps I could then persuade the Emperor. His Excellency will solve things peacefully.
The Emperor Gramis is no more. His life was taken.
Father.
What possible cause could we have to lay hand on our Emperor?
A deception and an outrage. The Senate will not stand for this.
A viper amongst our senators?
With Chairman Gregoroth as its head. With what dignity remained him, he confessed to the poisoning and passed his own sentence.
A viper with many tails. Much of the Senate is culpable.
We had no choice but to strip the Senate of authority and assign powers of autocracy to myself until such time as order...
Spare me your lies! I see the serpent coiled here before me!
Trace, you speak too freely.
Zargabath! Do not tell me you join in his mama's farce!
With Rosaria poised to invade at any moment, our leader must have a free hand.
The once great House Solidor is now reduced to myself and my dear brother Larsa.
Surely you would not go so far. Vayne Solidor! As Judge Magister and upholder of the law, I hereby place you under arrest.
You misunderstand. Vayne did not make himself autocrat. It was the very Ministry of Law which you serve. Do you see it now, Drace? When you bared your sword at His Excellency, you bared your sword at the law.
You wear the mama's motley well, Bergen. Such strength. Inhuman.
Zargabath, take the Alexander. You will accompany Bergen and bring Larsa back to me.
Sire.
Your Excellency, Lord Larsa was placed under my charge.
Oh? Perhaps you mistook your orders, then. I can see no other explanation for why you were reporting and conjecturing on my doings to my late father.
Your Excellency.
A hound begging for scraps at the Emperor's table. Would you serve another master, Hound? You may fulfill your duty as Judge Magister before us all. She has been tried and found guilty.
Your Excellency, I beg you reconsider.
Do it. I care not. Live, Gabrantha. Protect the young lord. Protect Larsa.
Forgive me.
Pray be quick.
And so House Solidor lives on.
Let us suppose you approach the Empire with a peaceful resolution. The late Emperor Gramis would have lent you his ear, that much is certain, but we are dealing with Vayne Solidor. Should the princess return, he would claim her an impostor, or to tempt the resistance into battle. Vayne wants this war, that much is certain. As our ill luck would have it, the man is a military genius.
The dreams have told me thus. To reveal yourself would imperil us all. I see war, and Vayne's name writ bold on history's page.
Arcadia's banners fly high. They are making ready for the coming war. According to our latest reports, the Western Armada prepares for war, under Vayne's command, no less. The newly formed 12th Fleet has already been deployed. Oh yes, the Imperial First Fleet stands ready. They'll be underway as soon as the Odin's refit is complete. And there is more. The 2nd Caravan Expeditionary Force is being called in to replace the missing 8th, so there will be no gaps. The largest force ever seen!
And then, the Nethicite is the coup de grace. Grand Kiltius, your grace. I spoke to you of my succession. Let us put that aside. Should I become Queen of Dalmasca now, powerless as I am, I can protect nothing. With a greater power at my disposal, perhaps then.
It is the Nethicite of which you dream?
I require something far greater.
To wield power against power. Truly, the words of a Hume child.
I am descended from the Dynast King himself.
Indeed. Then you have but one choice. Seek you the other power Wraithwall left.
Does such a thing exist?
Journey across the Paramana Rift to the still shrine of Miriam. There rests the gift he entrusted to the Grand Kiltius of his time. Seek it out. The Sword of Kings can cut through Nethicite. Why he would entrust the power to destroy Nethicite, the instrument of his greatness, to another and not to his own progeny, I cannot say. Awaken Ashelia Benagan, and take up your sword, or your dream will remain but a dream. My dream, too, fades into day.
Oh, yo, I just think that, I don't understand why everyone's so obsessed with what New Yorkers have to say about the rest of the country. Like, I live in New York. New Yorkers are retarded. Like, because I was thinking, like, okay, Fox News is in New York, right? I'm pretty sure CNN is in New York, but it's in, like, Manchester. And then the New York Post. And, like, I'm just like, all these people are like, oh, the New Yorkers are a bunch of propaganda. All they do is hate Donald Trump. I'm like, yeah, New York has a lot of reasons to hate Donald Trump. Also Rudy Giuliani for that. Well, maybe not Rudy Giuliani. And, I mean, for the most part, people don't really say anything negative about him except that he's crazy. But, I mean, he kind of is crazy. Even if he's right about things, like, he just says things in a way that, like, you can only describe as crazy. But, like, in terms of Trump, like, he's literally defrauded the state and organizations in the state, and, like, has a reputation for being an asshole in the state of New York, and and I think he just, like, the only people who like him in New York is Fox News, but it's not like, but, like, Fox News is in New York, like, and then, like, a lot of Trump's policies just, like, negatively affect, or he just directly targets New York. So, like, I mean, I get why people say that the New York Post is biased against Trump, but I don't get why people care what New York has to say about Trump. Like there are, I swear to God, 49 other countries in America besides New York. You don't have to listen to New York. And then, like, and then if you want to make the argument that people in California really hate New York, well, then there are 48. And then, from my understanding, Florida loves New York. I mean, loves Trump, and I mean, he literally just moved there. So, like, there are only really, like, 2 states that, like, have a legitimate, like, I guess, like, I just hate this person on contact moment with Trump, and that's California and New York. And, like, I mean, Trump is like the Hollywood reject. It's not like he, which is something I don't think people, like, kind of get. Like, I remember, I was watching some meme about, it was like, oh, well, for people who want to vote for Bloomberg or like Obama, like, here's a picture with Harvey Weinstein. But I'm just like, but there are also pictures with Trump with Harvey Weinstein. So, like they were like, and then he's literally in Hollywood movies. Like, isn't he in, he's in, Home Alone 2, or I guess he's not in Home Alone 2 anymore because the Canadians decided to remove him, but, like, I remember Trump being in Home Alone 2, watching that as a kid. That's, like, how, and, like, there's that, I mean, he's not, like, I'm not trying to make the argument that, like, Trump is a respected figure in Hollywood, because I don't think he's respected, but I do think he is a figure from Hollywood. And, you know, the majority of Americans and even politicians are not literally from the Hollywood scene. And I think that's something that really annoys me, because they're like, oh, he is against the liberals. I'm like, he's not against the liberals. The liberals are against him. And you might like him, but, like, he's not one of you guys. He's one of the liberals. He's just not like, it's like the nerdy kid at school, right? Like, that everyone hates. It's like, yeah, he isn't liked by his school, but it doesn't mean he doesn't go to that school and that he doesn't have classes with these people. Have a singular explosion. Oh, I guess I don't know. I just like, I don't ever think Donald Trump is like as toxic to American democracy as people say he is, and like the proof of that, if you truly believed he was, the fact that he was able to be impeached is kind of proof that he's not, because like impeachment, I mean, so far I think most impeachments don't end in removal but end in what like they just end with the dude quitting. And like, I mean, for better or for worse, one thing you can definitely say about Trump is that he is not a quitter. But that's not always the best thing in the world, but you could definitely make that statement. But like, I think he's just not, I think he just doesn't, I think that the Democrats aren't used to like being ousted. Like, I know that people make the argument that the Democrats started the fight between Trump, but I mean, it kind of did. It was kind of his base that started the fight, and then Trump was like, oh, I gotta appease my base, so I'ma just continue the fight. So I mean, Trump turned something that wasn't personal into something that was personal, and then got mad because it became personal. And I'm like, yo, you like, he could have always been like, look, I don't like, okay, perfect example is that he could have been the person who was like, oh, Democrats, you have to understand that the people who voted me hate your guts, but you know, I think that we should work together and you should stop doing things to make these people hate you. But what he did was just decide to like publicly insult the Democrats throughout the entirety of like his campaign and post-campaign, and then got offended when they, and then like got mad that it then turned into a personal beef. Like, I remember he was like, oh, don't tell me you pray for me if you don't pray for me. And I'm just like, bro, you started this fight, like and like that's why people make the claim that they like you, that you started a fight with these people. And now I feel like he just is upset because no one wants to, like, what's the word? No one wants to associate with him on like a personal level. And I think, and he seems like the type of person to be like deeply offended by that type of stuff. And I'm just like, well, yeah, like you like, for no reason except that your base asked you to, you decided to revolt against, basically against, like, how should I put this? He decided to revolt. Like, he decided to not be friends with anyone in. He entered the White House making an enemy of any single person who had a political position by like calling them all like liars, saying he was going to get rid of everybody, and then actually getting rid of everybody. If you look at all the, even if you look at the people that he like that were in politics that he like brought aboard, a lot of them he ended up firing. And I'm just like, and now he doesn't really have any allies, because even though he's part of the Republican Party, like, for the most part, they only ever really say nice things to him. They don't even really say nice things to him or about him. All they really do is like take advantage of the policies and say that the economy is good. And I'm like, okay, like that's fine. Like if that's the position you want to take as a Republican, that's cool. But I think he knows that people do not like him, and it like brings him a large amount of insecurity. And like, I mean, what bothers me is that it's one thing if you're like, it's one thing to be a loner and do whatever and not care about and like, you know, offend people because you genuinely like don't care about how other people view you. Like let's say that like I guess the best way to describe it is like being a gangster. Like you're literally out here in these streets like, oh, you don't like me? Well, fuck you then. I'm out here getting my money, right? But Trump isn't that person. Trump is always like, he's always personally attacking people. Like he consistently personally attacks people, and then when they have anything to say to him that isn't like praises or of admiration, he uses the authority that he has as president to either attack these people or have his followers attack these people, and then wonder why no one wants to associate with him, and then publicly says that he feels like people don't actually care about him, especially on the other side. Like Nancy Pelosi was like the closest thing he had to a friend on the other side, and he literally just like, he spends so much time publicly attacking her, and then it's like, oh, you don't actually care about me, you don't actually pray for me. And I'm just like, like you regularly call her nasty Nancy, and all she really says is that she doesn't like you. And now like the entire Republican Party is like making her out to be the bad guy. And I'm just like, even if she is petty, which I'm not, like, I definitely think she's petty, but I don't think she started this fight, because like at the beginning of the like presidency, she was like, oh, I'll try to work with him. But like, has Trump ever said that he would try to work with people, or does he say he wants stuff and when he doesn't get it, he attacks people? And that's like something that like just like, it just bothers me, because like it's just proof that he's a punk bitch. And like and that's like the only way I can describe it. It's like, it's just proof that he's a bitch and that he can't handle any form of like, I don't even want to say criticism, because criticism is like, it implies that people think he's wrong. He can't handle not being praised. Like he can't handle. And I'm just like, and it's like weird because he has like a historical precedent of just being an asshole, right? Like, but when asshole things happen to him, he gets like really offended. Like, a perfect example is like when Obama was elected president, right? And I feel like people, it just amazes me that people never bring this up. Like no one, not even like people who claim he's racist bring this up, which is ridiculous to me. Like, I cannot fight both of these two at the same time, not with the sword. Like when Obama became president, he really was out here in these streets saying Obama's not an American citizen, Obama needs to be removed from office, Obama, what's the word? Like he's a Muslim, but he was using it as an insult, and like okay, and then like he's been surprised, or I guess a better term is offended, that like the same thing happened to him, like when he became president, and like I just don't get why he's so offended, like, or even surprised, because like what's happening to him in his first year is literally what happened to Obama in Obama's first year, except that Trump was the one doing it. So like, I guess he thinks because, it's just like there were protests against him. And I think what offends him is that there are so many more people who don't like him than don't like Obama. But like, that's because Trump's kind of an asshole. Like, he doesn't even try to be nice to people. And I think he thinks that being an asshole has gotten him, like, I guess so far. Like, he's president of the United States, so being an asshole has gotten him so far. But like, being president of the United States isn't an indication that people like you, and people typically don't even need like. And I think that's something he's realizing, and it destroys him inside. So he lashes out, and that's why I think that's really the reason why I want him to go. It's not because I truly think that he, like, I know Democrats and like people in politics are always like, oh my god, he's like the most disastrous thing to American politics. I'm like, it's not that. I mean, unless you're like, it's not that like he can single-handedly take out America, and it's not even that. It's that he influences people, especially younger people, into believing that you can just be an asshole and get everything you want. Because, like, I mean, he's out here having sex with porn stars, and his wife is younger than him, which is equated as being hot. So, and then like he's not even nice to his kids. Like, I remember in the like, not the State of the Union, but like the after conference, he was like, "Oh, my kids are doing this thing, but they could do better though. They're not that great." I'm like, bro, that's like, those are your kids, like, and your kids are like gonna be thrown under the bus for him going in like the near future because of the way he keeps throwing under the bus Hunter Biden. If Hunter Biden, I know that the Republican Party is like currently under investigating Hunter Biden, and if he is determined to be guilty, then like his kids are gonna be like targeted. Like, Donald Trump's kids are gonna be targeted because like anything that you say of Hunter Biden, you can definitely say of Trump's kids. Except, you know, he has more of them, so arguably it's worse. And that's why I just think I think he genuinely does not care about anyone but himself. And it's just, and well, I don't even think he doesn't care about anyone but himself. I think he assumes that everyone should care about him more than he cares about other people. I wish I had a map. Oh, actually, I want to change her gambits to not just attack anything that isn't weak to attacks. Yeah. Not bad, not bad. I don't actually remember how to do this, but I'm pretty sure these things are sometimes monsters, so is that like an Egyptian sign? That's kind of cool. And there are a lot of switches. And like, also, is it just me, or he attacks people on the basis of religion a lot? Like, I know that there was the Muslim ban that was deemed unconstitutional, so he had to rewrite the ban so that like it targeted less countries and non-Muslim countries. now he's like attacking Christians and well, I guess more Mormons, which are technically Christians, and Catholics, and saying that they don't actually believe in their faith and that they're just using it as an excuse to be evil. I'm like, whoa, that's incredibly offensive. Nothing happens. And I'm like I just don't understand. I guess it bothers me because he has the support of people who claim that he's for religious rights. The words seem to have been left by King Wraithwall, Treaty Seeker, relic held. This pedestal embrace. Touch it. Hasn't changed. No, I hate these guys. They're ugly. I need to change my parties now that I have, Actually, this works out perfectly. I'll switch. Yep. I switched my party to this because now that Fern has Curaga, she has like she doesn't have Cure Shove, which is like it's obviously the best spell, but I'm not gonna get that spell for like a very long time compared to the other magic I'll be getting. So Curaga is gonna be the best healing I have for a decent amount of time. So, I want to have like each party have access to Curaga. Fern will actually be able to use it because she has some pretty decent magic potency. Actually, I can use it to an advantage. I can use. These things are strong. I didn't realize how strong they are.
I can't.
relic. Oh! I forgot about this. I need to equip this freaking thing. Don't show it. I think, yeah. I want to keep this thing equipped though because I can't use I do think that I think AOC needs to go. I think I don't think she's a bad politician, but I think she, how should I put this? I think she's incredibly ignorant and does not want to change. And I don't think she cares if she hurts other people. Yeah, that's the best way. Like, I think she's so focused on what she believes is right that she doesn't care if other people have to suffer in order for her to be right. I just need a gambit. Yeah. And that's why I don't like her. Also, I think she gives the Republican Party a bad name, and if she regularly, like, does things, not the Republican, the Democratic Party, and if she just regularly does things that, like, are just, like, shady, like, I mean, there was already the controversy because, like, people felt like she was funneling money to her boyfriend for something or whatever, that it was never proven, but, like, that's what people, like, were under the impression of using the campaign financing. And then like I should put this. She had that conversation where she was like, oh, I mean, I'm not even like some random Democrat, I forgot who, some like high name one, like maybe it was Biden, and he's like, oh, I'm nothing like Biden, I shouldn't even be in the same party as him. And I'm like, okay, so and then she was accused of not paying her dues. I'm like, yo, you're like like what is this chick doing? I just felt like it's just proof that she's like a bad, like, she's just bad. Like, it's not even like she's bad for the party. She clearly doesn't. She clearly she literally says things like, I'm gonna overtake the party and I'm gonna make everyone different, and like she like literally claims to be a socialist, and I'm just like, I don't think that, it's not that I don't think there's space for her in politics, but I do think that she takes advantage of people under the guise of being good for other people. But I have yet to see how her actions or even her behavior isn't a benefit to anyone but herself. And I know she makes the claim that she's doing it for the people of her, like, you know, for the Bronx or whatever, or for like people who are like for like as an American, like she doesn't even make that claim actually. She just like makes claims that other people are bad. She doesn't even make the claim that she's doing things to help other people. She just makes the claim that what other people are doing is worse than what she wants to do. And I'm like, first of all, that's not true. What she wants to do is usually worse than what other people want to do. But then also, like, that's not like on a personal level, that's not like, that just shows you have bad character, because you don't do things in like an effort to be, or she doesn't do things in an effort to be amicable or even like with American interest at mind. Like she definitely has like she definitely has like a what's the word for it, like she believes in humanity and she's not like trying to, but like a lot of her policies blatantly benefit non-American, like people who are literally not a part of America, like literally illegal citizens and people who don't live as American residents. Like I'm not even talking about like the class of American citizens in the American environment, like in America, that aren't American. And I'm not even talking about like even white people or stuff. Like she, like her policies like literally just benefit people who either do not live in America or are illegal, like not like regular immigrants or American residents that aren't citizens. I mean like literally people who are here illegally and avoiding the law, because like a lot of her policies literally make it illegal like to prosecute somebody on the basis of breaking the law as an illegal immigrant, because, or deporting them because of a crime. And I'm just like, how does that benefit Americans who have migrated here illegally with documentation? Because that now means that like if you in terms of having to deal with the law, it is just better that you come here illegally under her laws. And then also, like, how does that benefit Americans? Like, I don't get it. I just don't think she is I think she needs to go. I think she needs to go, or she needs to like, I guess the best way is be challenged, because like no one challenges her. Even Trump doesn't challenge her, and Trump regularly spends his time insulting people. Like he literally went after a small child for being nasty, and he doesn't say anything about AOC. Like, and it doesn't even mean anything that the media goes after her, because like, I mean, in the same way that it doesn't mean anything when the media goes after Trump anyway. It's just more noise. There's no one who's actually in politics that actively is opposed to what she's doing. And that really bothers me, because like, she's crazy. Like, she's a crazy lady. No, come back here. I don't want to do that. Ugh. Wait, that didn't work? That thing can fail? Oh, wait. Reduce HP to... Oh, maybe it's Soul Eater and not Bone Crusher that I wanted. That's right. Battery's about to die. Okay, I'm gonna save it soon. My battery's about to die. Oh wait, I think I can use magic in this game. Let's see. Magic. Oh no, I can't use magic with this guy. Okay. I think this is a boss fight. I don't remember how this boss fight goes. I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. Oh, I'm gonna have to start getting these quickenings because the game is gonna. The game isn't that hard if you're only doing story mission stuff, but that game can be a bitch and a half if you're doing non-story related stuff. I'm just gonna save it. I'm gonna save it. I'll play this game later.